The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is hump day in the Rev.
Yeah. And we did try to get us live on YouTube today, but there's just too many. YouTube's making too many changes, and it looks like we won't be going live on YouTube much anymore if we can't figure it out. But it's just crazy. Before it was as simple as putting in the streaming key and boom, we were streaming. Now they're making it more difficult. But now it's time for Captain COVID.
Yes, always.
107,056 cases yesterday, 174 new cases, 8,214 deaths, 1 new death, 8,719 Bristol County cases, and there are 7 new cases in Fall River, putting us up to 1,702 with still no new fatalities, so we're still at 113 deaths. So there's your number.
Yeah, and of course, all those numbers are still in tremendous dispute by many, and the accuracy of said numbers, because we see it on television all the time. They're manipulating the numbers for their own benefits. It's hard to really tell. So again, we get back to telling you, just listen to what we do know, that if you practice social distancing and wear a mask to protect others from you in the event you get it, that's about the best thing you can do, because the statistics are just that, statistics. Their accuracy, we may never know how good they are. This morning, I saw someone that was talking about statistics in schools and said there was not one case. CJ, you can speak to this. His assertion was there was not one case in the entire world of the COVID virus being transferred from a child to an adult. So I found that hard to believe, like one case, not one case in the entire world. I'm not sure if I agree that there's 100% of anything. You can't kill 100% of bacteria or viruses, and you can't kill, you can't even kill 100% of the population. So,
well, I have a problem with that because I don't believe that they've been following cases of children long enough to create a good database to figure that out. Because there's also a study which is also not complete, which says that while children carry the virus asymptomatically, they're unsure of how often they transmit it, or if it's more easily transmitted from children to adults. So again, we have another side to that story. So you've got to look at all sides, and you've got to kind of put the information together. But the studies have to be long range. They can't be a study of 12 kids or 40 kids. You've got to have a large group to study to figure this out. It's just not right. Because, I mean, look at the kids that are getting another form of the COVID virus, which is causing muscle damage and nerve damage. So, again, what do we know? We don't know anything. That's the problem.
True. And I guess the only good news, and all these studies and things there's always going to be conflicting studies, and the only thing that will cure this will be time, which proves one study to be correct. So forget about the studies, just try to protect yourself. But I guess the good news is, CJ, I'm seeing a lot of reporting that they're very, very close to having some vaccines. And there are 3 or 4 different companies that are very, very close. They've pre-tested some, and they've got very good results. And so that's at least, hopefully, some good news.
Well, and again, as you said, this several companies that are developing these vaccines. The thing that gets me is that these vaccines are being developed with taxpayer dollars. Okay, now two of the drug companies have said they will provide the vaccine free or at cost. Most likely, it's going to be at cost. But the others that are doing research on a vaccine that are getting taxpayer dollars haven't said that. They'll charge an outrageous amount of money for it, I'm sure, because that's what drug companies do. And we know this. And that's why I'm a firm believer in drug companies should not receive research money from the federal government, because they develop a new drug using the research money from the federal government, which is our tax dollars, and all of a sudden there's a new drug out there that costs $1,800 for a 1-month supply. So where's the return for my tax dollar? The drug? I'm sorry, that's not a return for my tax dollar. It doesn't work that way for me. Okay? Well, if we're going to pay for the drug's development, then we should get the drug for free. That's my opinion.
Well, you're right, because if you think about it, and that's what the problem with most people, they don't think, they don't look at, they want to erase history and learn from it. They have memories and attention spans the size of a gnat's, and they forget. But I don't forget, because I'm dealing with drugs all the time with the healthcare system. The pharmaceutical companies have long used how much money they spend in research to justify the astronomical pricing of their drugs. They always say, well, we spent millions and millions of dollars in research and development, so we have to get our money back, even though they get a tax break for all that stuff. But now they're not only getting a tax break, they're getting free money. So this is all BS, and the bottom line is the pharmaceutical companies, which are some of the richest companies on the planet, are getting richer, and they get subsidized because the government, let's face it, half the people in Congress and the Senate own stocks in the drug companies, have relatives working for huge salaries in the drug companies, and it's all a big, big trough for them to dip into. We all know how much money they made on the stocks before they tanked the entire economy, selling off their stocks. They had 4 or 5, including Pelosi, and now Pelosi's talking about, well, another $1 trillion is nothing. This is not even, it's nowhere near enough. It's a mere pittance, trillions of dollars. And we are so deep in the hole, they don't care, because Nancy Pelosi made about $1 million when the economy tanked on her stocks. They don't care how badly they wrecked this economy, because, look, we were talking before COVID about reducing the debt. Now nobody even considers it. They don't care how much debt we create. And then they want to give everybody everything for free through this period. But then when you have to go back to work, you're going to be paying taxes. Your great-great-great-grandchildren are still trying to pay off the debt that they created while we subsidize their legals. So forgive me if I'm not real thrilled with the way this thing is going. And because there's a total insensitivity to the plight of the Americans who are being victimized by this COVID virus. People have lost their jobs or have had their hours cut. They're having financial issues. But the government's answer is always simple. Throw money at it. And don't throw it effectively and efficiently. Just throw money at it.
And this is what they want to do again. This is exactly what they want to do again. They want to throw money at it once again, and it's going to create more problems. Because one of the issues we have, let's look at what's going on. This week is the last week of the extra $600 in the unemployment benefits. The Democrats and the federal government want to bring that back. They want to put that in the stimulus package. Doesn't work that way. Sorry to say, it doesn't work that way. And what makes it worse is that money, people are choosing not to go back to work because they're making more money on unemployment compensation. So there's no question about it. The other issue that we have is that they're looking at jacking up the national debt another $1 trillion. Trillion with a T. This is becoming costly. For what? They're saying it's supposed to help rebuild the economy, but the people who got the PPP loans didn't even do what those loans are supposed to do. They took, and there were big companies. The loans were meant for small business, but the big companies took those loans. And now the federal government saying, well, we're going to do away with the requirements that they keep employees on, and we're just going to turn those loans, all of them, immediately into a grant. Really? Why even bother with doing that then? Why do we even bother to say, okay, it's a PPP loan? We should have just said, this is a grant, everyone apply for it and walk away with the money. It would have been much easier because, again, throwing money at it and it's not getting anything. I can't figure it out. And you've got all these people who are on unemployment screaming, and I've seen it all over Facebook, I've seen it everywhere, that my $600, and I love the way they say that, my $600 extra is going to stop. How am I supposed to pay my bills with, $231 a week or $331 a week? How would you have paid it before if you didn't have the $600? You would have gotten a job. You would have gone to a restaurant and got a job doing takeout. You would have got a gig job where you were delivering the food. You would have done something. But the problem is the federal government has made it so that people can suck on the teat of the taxpayer. And we're not getting anything in return for it. Nothing. And they're saying it's the only way to keep the economy afloat. But it's not keeping the economy afloat. Those stimulus checks that they gave out, $1,200, not a lot of money. But everybody went out and they didn't pay their bills with it. Just like they're not paying their bills with the $600. They went out and they bought game systems and televisions and entertainment. That's not what that money was for. That is not what that money was for. And when you've got a governor like Governor Baker, piece of crap that he is, and he turns around and he says, well, we're going to extend the eviction moratorium for another 60 days, which puts us now in October 17th. Guess what? That's just before the cutoff where the housing court doesn't evict anyone until March or April. So these people are going to go a year without paying rent, and the landlord's going to get screwed. And they're not going to get that year's rent. And the property will be a mess. If they even still have the property, because a lot of the landlords are already saying, I'm just going to default on the mortgage, which is going to create another economic downturn. Because if people are going to start defaulting on their mortgages because of what the governor has done, then here's what's going to happen. We're going to have another huge recession where property values are going to plummet and people are not going to have anything. And this is what's happening.
Yeah, you're right. But look, nobody cares and nobody comprehends. But I was looking for it because it did it in years. But I found it in seconds. Because, as I said, the Democrats don't care. And that the $600 is actually a disincentive to work. Why would you want to work? Why would you want to work if you're going to get more money not working? It's absurd. But and she said 1 trillion is nothing. They want to spend more. But let me give you this comparison. I had it somewhere in years, but it's broken down. And I'm reading this. This isn't mine. I'm reading it right off out of research as you speak. How much bigger is a billion than a million? Okay. Now, 1 million seconds is about 11 days. We got that? 1 million. I'm sorry. 1 million seconds is 11 days. That's a lot, a lot of days. 1 billion seconds, remember, A million was 11 days. A billion is 31 and a half years. Not days. 31 and a half years. Now comes the big. A trillion seconds. Get ready for this one. Everybody hold on. A trillion seconds is 31,709.8 years. We went from 11 days for $1 million to 31,709.8 years for a trillion. Think about what these morons in Washington are doing to you, because it doesn't bother them because they're all millionaires. Just think of how long and how deeply we're going to be in debt and what they're going to do when it comes back to bite us in the butt. Because guess what? They're not paying that debt off. They don't pay it. They're loaded. Just think of the taxes that they're going to heap upon you, your children, your grandchildren, your great-great-great-great-grandchildren. It's either that or the country will be destroyed and nobody will have a job. So remember that. Almost 32,000 years as opposed to 11 days. That's what a trillion is. I mean, I know it's incomprehensible because it's incomprehensible to me. Look at all those zeros and go, oh, gee. But this is a really, really understandable comparison. $1 million is 11 days. $1 trillion is almost 32,000 years. 1,000 years. Not 32 years. Not 3,200 years. 32,000 years. So, if you don't want to do that, then speaking of money, there's a rumor around that the city is going to ask for an audit from the state, I believe. And I know we discussed this yesterday, CJ. And so I am going to go on record already saying that's a 9.9 on the DS meter, because when they did this before. Remember, they sent it to the state for an audit. Joe DiNucci did it. Now they're going to get the name being banded around is Susan Bump. But I've already gone on record as saying that's totally useless, because what does the state do when you send them numbers to audit? They audit the numbers that you send them. This is the reason that they are adamantly opposed to a forensic audit. Because what happened when we did a forensic audit of the healthcare in 90 and 08? They were asked to produce records to prove that their numbers were correct, and how they got to those numbers, and what they did to get those numbers. Therein lies the difference. You find out that their numbers are a big pile of BS. So having the city's financial team provide numbers to the state for them to see that 2 and 2 does in fact add up to 4, and say, okay, this audit looks good because everything adds up. Well, that's not the problem in Fall River, because you know the old adage, figures don't lie, but liars can figure. The problem we have is that they've told us that there were certain numbers in this city, and then the next fiscal year or in the next week they tell us, well, those numbers were inaccurate. Oh, we really don't have this much money there. We have this much money here, and it just moves around. So what they're going to do is prepare something that adds up, which is what, CJ? It's a recreation or a reconciliation. So they're sending numbers in that are going to be reconciled. They're going to look and say, well, okay, they say they got this money, that money. Nobody's going to go and say, prove it. prove it. As Ernst & Young said, when they went into their forensic audit, they said, give us the records. And you know what the city said? Well, we don't have the records. And as a matter of fact, weren't you told by someone that the city's financial team actually said that they routinely destroy records, financial records? CJ?
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
sorry. I was looking at the national debt and how much we owe, and I was getting so into this, it was starting to get scary. We owe $68,400 per citizen, $183,000 per taxpayer, and currently the United States is 125 trillion in unfunded liabilities. Ooh, unfunded liabilities. How many times have we heard that in Fall River?
One of our favorite words.
Yeah, exactly. And according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, the U.S. debt held by the public will reach 100% of the gross domestic product by 2028, which I think that year is probably going to be adjusted because of COVID.
Absolutely, yeah. So
that just blew my mind. That's why I'm sorry. I kind of
no. I know. Look, it blew my mind. I saw it in a comparison, but then when seconds, to think of how many seconds it takes almost nearly 32,000 years, and think that $1 million is only 11 days. I mean, that's just inconceivable. That's like thinking about the stars. When you look at the stars and they put it in light years, and they're hundreds of light years away, but that number you can't fit on anything, on a piece of paper. There's so many, because what's a light year? It's the amount of distance light travels in a year, and you know what the speed of light is, right? It's like I don't know, 32,000 feet per second or something. But it's like a zillion. It's like a bazillion. They don't even have a word for that number. I mean, trillion. I don't know if there's anything past trillion, quadrillion, bazillion. We'll create one now. Spindle City Straight Talk is now going to have a new code. We're going to have bazillion.
Well, to make the speed of light easy for people, it's 299,792,458 meters per second.
Yeah, then you got to change the meters into feet for us because we don't know the metric system. So, but I mean, per second, right?
Right.
But I think if you look at the formula, it's per second, which is like double. But I mean, it's just so far you can't even believe it because that's how much it travels. Now multiply that times 150 light years. So multiply that by a year, then multiply that by 150 years, and that's like where the stars are. So I mean, this is the problem. It's like they spend money in such volume that the average person doesn't even care because they can't comprehend it. Because it's really hard to comprehend that much money. I mean, it's hard, when you can't buy an $8 hamburger, it's hard to believe, that somebody is going to spend $1 trillion. It's like, it's like, okay, they're going to spend $1 trillion. That's a lot. Yeah, but how much is that lot? You think a million's a lot, and a billion's a lot, and a trillion's a lot, but they have no conception of how much different just those three are, because they're all just big to the average person. They're not astronomical, They're just big. And so now when you look at $1 trillion versus $1 million and $1 billion, it gives you, as you said, it's fascinating to see. And to understand that and comprehend that, it's just crazy. And then when we get our budget, any similarity to accuracy is purely coincidental, and that's what they're going to have. And so some people on the council are looking to justify and say, now we can all relax and be confident that our budget is accurate. BS. Remember we had a budget the year before, we had an $8 million shortfall with Flanagan? Remember we had a supposed budget that was accurate? But they, let's face this, when you send a budget to the state looks over the audit. They check the audit and see if it adds up. They're not asking for their proof. That's what a forensic audit does. And that's why they're all afraid to have a forensic audit. Because a forensic audit, as Lisa Hattie said, and it's not only restricted to when I'm on a show, but they're looking for fraudulent numbers. That's what they're looking for. You got to prove it. You can't, like me, I can't go to the bank and tell the bank that I got $32,000 in I got $32,000 because they're going to say, let me see your savings account. Or if not, let me see the 32 grand. You have to give me proof. I'm not going to give you a mortgage and base your credit on what you tell me you have. You're going to have to prove it. And any rational person or institution would obviously make somebody prove it. But not them. They're going to send it to the state. Another bunch of government bureaucrats that are going to go, rubber stamp. Oh, yeah, your budget's okay. And that's BS.
Just people getting paid to say, you're all right, you're all right, you're all right. So, hey, they had their Durfee graduation yesterday and their RPA or RPS, whatever they want to call it, graduations yesterday at the Durfee field or the Mac Aldrich field. And now I'm going to follow the numbers. I want to see in 2 weeks what the increase in cases are, if any. I mean, they say they maintain social distancing, but you and I both know politicians love to talk. And I'm sure there are a lot of politicians. I didn't watch it, but I'm sure there are a lot of politicians flapping their jaws that it wasn't simply the kids come up, get their diploma, and step down. I'm sure that there was some yapping of jaws beforehand from the mayor, from the superintendent, from maybe a school principal, from other politicians. I'm sure it's all there. And if it is, so be it. It happened. As somebody turned around and said, the blood is on your hands for every infection. So I want to see how many infections occur from this event, from these two events. If any, there may be none. But when you get that many people in one location, there's a good possibility that it will happen. Now, allegedly, everybody was wearing masks, but I saw a few pictures on Facebook of people not wearing masks. So again, how do you keep everyone from wearing their masks and not taking them off? It's a difficult situation. So I don't know. I congratulate the graduates. I think it's great that they had their graduation ceremony, even though it's in a trying time. But I really think that what should have happened, if it hasn't happened, is that no politician should have spoken. No politician should have even been there. It's that simple. But of course, we have to have our politicians there because they have to get their 5 minutes of fame on camera, and that's the sad part about it.
Yeah, and I know we're running a little short of time, so I have to say congratulations to the graduates. It's unfortunate that you couldn't get the maximum enjoyment, your families couldn't, and I hope you all go on to a productive life. Continue your education, whether it's formally or just for your own self-enrichment. And I hope that this thing turns around and the economy rebounds so you guys can all get jobs. And congratulations on your achievement. I think it's just a sad commentary that your families can't enjoy this to the fullest like we all would like to. Because I know you did and I did. I was fortunate enough to be able to attend my children's graduations from high school, college, and
all right, Chip, we're out of time. So thanks for watching, everybody. We appreciate you letting us into your home. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay angry, and we'll see you on Friday.
And